everything you need to know about a Grand Wagoneer. The Grand Wagoneer. Now, this is a nameplate that might be familiar to you because Jeep used these in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, and 90s on an off-road vehicle that they used to show people that off-road could also be comfortable. You see, most people associate Jeep with being an off-road brand, but Jeep wanted to make a comfortable, luxurious version of their off-roader, and they called it the Grand Wagoneer. From 1960s to 1990, you saw Grand Wagoneers all over the place, but in 1993, they replaced it with a much smaller, much more urban vehicle called the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Well, guess what? The Grand Wagoneer is back, and man, is it ever back. It is Jeep's most expensive product they've ever made. Ultra luxurious, ultra high tech, every creature comfort you could ever want in a vehicle, and then some. So today, I'm going to give you a tour of this big bad beast and all the amazing options it's got.
I'm Jeff Batchelor, and I love cars. I love the look, I love the design, and I love the emotion that you feel. I love the history, brand stories, marketing strategy, and automotive trends. I love engineering, types of propulsion, engine specs, drivetrain, and performance, and I love the interiors, layouts, smell, and the gizmos and gadgets and bells and whistles. But I don't only love cars, I also sell them. If you love this content and want to chat about a purchase, text me at 416-523-6585. Now back to the video.
Now you might be asking yourself, what did Jeep decide to power this massive 6,000 to 7,000 pound behemoth? Well, when the Grand Wagoneer was released in 2022, they used the 6.4 liter Hemi. Yes, the one that's found typically in SRT and our sports cars. It was pumping out 470 horsepower, but if you're shopping for a Grand Wagoneer now, new is the 3 liter twin turbo high output Hurricane engine, which has 510 horsepower, 500 feet-pound of torque, and this will push this 7,000 pound beast 0 to 60 miles an hour in only 4.7 seconds. Yes, 4.7 seconds. And now opening the hood of your Grand Wagoneer is quite simple. Right below the steering column, there's a little pull tab. And then underneath, right above the O, you'll find the pull tab to release the hood. And there is the crown jewel of this Grand Wagoneer, the all-new Stellantis Hurricane motor, the twin turbo high output that not only is in the Grand Wagoneer, but we soon to be in many Ram 1500 models. All right, now when Jeep unveiled the Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer, they didn't do us any favors with the names. You see, Jeep makes an entry-level, full-size SUV called the Wagoneer. This Grand Wagoneer is meant to compete against the premium, the exotics, and the luxury brands. This is not designed to go into the ring with the Yukons and the Expedition. This is a BMW, Mercedes, Land Rover, and Cadillac fighter. This is a full-size SUV, and it's available in 2 different sizes, the standard length and the L length. So let me repeat, we have a Wagoneer L, a Grand Wagoneer, and a Grand Wagoneer L. And if that wasn't enough to distinguish between the different levels of Wagoneers and Grand Wagoneers, there's series 1, 2, and 3. Today, I'm giving you a walk around on a Grand Wagoneer L Series 2 with the Obsidian package. Now, this would compete against a Cadillac Escalade long version. This would compete against the Lincoln Navigator long version. And although it's meant to compete against the Mercedes, BMWs, and Land Rovers, they don't even compare to the amount of space, options, features, and luxury of this Grand Wagoneer. All right, now let's talk exterior styling. Probably the most polarizing aspect of this full-size SUV from Jeep. Some people hate it, some people love it. On the other hand, I absolutely love it, especially in this black Obsidian package. If I was driving a $100,000+ full-size SUV, I would want brawny, I would want bold styling, I would want it to have the presence of a Rolls-Royce. Now up front, we still have that iconic 7-slot grille, but gone is the word Jeep anywhere from the vehicle. I know 2 spots where it says it, but I won't tell you till later in the video. Instead, it's covered in Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer branding. Jeep wants this to stand alone above the Jeep class of vehicles so that people consider this a formidable foe with the Land Rovers, Mercedes, and BMWs of the world. Now the headlights are stunning. LED daytime running lights, the turn signals are sequential, ultra bright, good looking LED projector headlamps that not only auto level, but they look around corners. The fog lights are also cornering, which means when you turn your turn signal on or turn the wheel, it'll actually light up where you're going, a dark driveway, a parking spot, and so more of the such. Looking down the side of the vehicle, you see these big, enormous windows carrying on the tradition of the original Grand Wagoneer. Big, giant greenhouse so that all of its occupants can see all around. The third row windows are bigger than the second, and the second are bigger than the front row windows. So everybody is going to have great visibility when inside this Grand Wagoneer. And if you think that this thing doesn't have running boards, you're wrong. They're actually tucked up. They're power running boards, which allows you to have extra ground clearance as you drive around in your typical day-to-day driving. But as you approach the vehicle or open the door, the running boards will drop down, allowing ease of access to your occupants and your kids. Now around back, I think this thing looks like a school bus, but I mean that in the best way. You got beautiful LED taillights that are also sequential, a big giant window. And I mean, again, if I was driving a vehicle like this, I would want it to make an impact. I would want people's heads to turn. And I think that's exactly what this Grand Wagoneer does. All right, now stepping into this Grand Wagoneer will take you to a world you have never experienced from Jeep ever before. Everything is covered in high-end finishings and luxury trim. The roof is covered in Alcantara suede. The dash is leather. The tops of the door sills is leather. Even the bottoms of the door sills are leather. All the silver that you see is real aluminum. There are no boring textures or surfaces in this entire vehicle. The steering wheel keeps the Grand Wagoneer tradition of a 2-spoke steering wheel. I love this steering wheel. I love the way that it feels, and I love the flat bottomness of it as well. Now on the steering wheel, you're gonna see you have a set of buttons on the left, and that allows you to flip through all the different pages of your driver display. You can have a full screen navigation in here. You can have your vehicle dynamics, which includes your adjustable air suspension and your drive mode displayed. You can have your music up here. You can change your head-up display settings. There's so much you can do within this large digital screen, and it's also very configurable. On the right-hand side, you have the buttons for your level 2 autonomous driving. Yes, this Grand Wagoneer will help you with lane centering as well as adaptive cruise control. So once you have those settings locked in, simply leave your hand rested on the steering wheel and it'll accelerate and decelerate and do the steering for you as long as it sees the lines. The way that you know that it sees the road lines is this nice little green logo in the bottom right-hand corner. Now, also in this display is your night vision function. This Grand Wagoneer features night vision, which means you'll be able to see warm-bodied animals before they jet out into traffic. This is an amazing feature if you live in a northern climate like we do, where it's dark a lot of the winter and there's often wildlife roaming onto the street. And then just above that, we have the heads-up display, a color heads-up display that features speed limit, posted speed, navigation directions. I love the size and the clarity of this heads-up display. Now moving over to the right, a beautiful start-stop button. It is encased in aluminum and even a stitched leather housing. Ultra premium is the name of the game with this Grand Wagoneer. Now this extra large 12-inch horizontal Uconnect 5 screen is the best they've ever made. Uconnect wins awards all the time for the usability of their infotainment system. This Wagoneer also has a couple cool party tricks, including ambient lighting, so you can customize the mood. And my favorite is the relax mode. So if you're waiting for your husband or wife to shop or your kids to play sports, you can press any one of 6 different relax modes, sit in the vehicle, and be transformed to a whole different area. The fireplace mode is my favorite. Now down below, this is an additional screen called the comfort screen, which allows you to directly control the front seat climate, the rear seat climate, the front seat size and layout, as well as the massage functions. Behind that screen, you have a wireless charging pad to keep your device, as well as the inputs for your passenger screen. This passenger screen acts as a media screen, which means you can pair your Bluetooth headphones to this screen and listen to a different radio station than the rest of the vehicle. From this screen, you could also watch Netflix, play video games, control the navigation, or adjust many of the vehicle settings while still in motion. Now below this comfort screen, you've got this beautiful gear selector that feels ultra robust, ultra premium, like I'm holding a Rolex watch. The left paddle controls your drive mode, including a snow, sport, auto, sand, and rock mode. And the right paddle controls the height of the vehicle. This has 4 different height modes, including an off-road 1 and an off-road 2 to give you more ground clearance, and then an aerodynamic and an exit entry to give you less ground clearance. And not to be outdone by all those other cool features, the Grand Wagoneer even has a refrigerated center console. Underneath your beautiful armrest, you have a cooler bin down here, which you can keep road beverages nice and frosty for your long drives. All right, now here in the second row, the luxury finishes and trims do not end. The door sills are wrapped in leather, there are privacy shades, map reading lights, and the sunroof from the front row travels all the way to the back. Right here we have an ultra luxurious center console with a huge storage bin, and yes, a touchscreen in the second row, so the second row occupants can adjust their heated and ventilated seats, as well as their own climate control. You see, this Grand Wagoneer doesn't just have a front left and right climate zone, it's got front left, front right, back left, and back right. That's a quad zone climate control system. Now, accessing the third row in this Grand Wagoneer has never been easier. There's a button atop the seat back, and it tilts and slides out of the way, providing an unparalleled amount of space when accessing the third row. And once you're in the third row, it's first class for everybody in a Grand Wagoneer. Third row has its own sunroof, has got windows larger than the second and the first row, have got leather wrapped padded armrest with cup holders, air venting, power reclining seats, and my own USB and USB-C holders. The Grand Wagoneer is class leading when it comes to third row foot space, headroom, and even storage behind the third row when the seats are up. And now out to the tailgate where, yes, you guessed it, we have hands-free power tailgate. As long as the key fob is on your person, a quick kick allows that tailgate to raise. Back here you see class-leading storage space behind the third row when the third row is up. When we fold the third row down, man, you cannot even reach the back of the second seats. There is so much room back here, and you even have controls to lower the second row all the way from the trunk area. So this is the part I talk about unique features, and let's be honest, everything about the Grand Wagoneer is unique. And if I went into all the cool things about it, this video would never end. The 360 camera systems where each camera has its own washer nozzle. The fact that there's up to 8 available digital displays, including an option to have all the screens display a fireplace. The fact that Jeep isn't written anywhere on the vehicle except for these places really makes this vehicle a fun vehicle to own and a fun vehicle to experience. There is no competition when you're looking at a full-size SUV. Jeep was last to the party for a reason, because they could steal the scripts from everybody else to make sure that they are class leading in pretty much everything. I didn't even get into the towability of this, the off-road capability of this, the fact that this is great for all seasons and all weathers. So if you have a big family or are in the market for a full-size SUV, I strongly recommend you consider a Wagoneer or a Grand Wagoneer. Thanks again.